Hello again, BookTube. I wanted to make this sort of preliminary video today to sort of compare some translations from a great Russian classic. And that Russian classic is, of course, one that I just finished reading on Wednesday, and that is Eugene Onegin by Alexander Pushkin. And this is the Penguin Classic, the Charles Johnston translation from, I think, the 1970s. And I wanted to sort of compare three different translations of this. Anyone who can read the original Russian says that this story is famously untranslatable as far as its magic, its full power, its scope, its effect, all of those things, and uh, that seems to whenever people read about that who are considering reading this book, they can understandably feel some trepidation as far as finding a translation to read. And so I wanted to hopefully uh, lower that intimidation a little bit by comparing some translations. I have three different versions of this. I have, of course, this Penguin Classic edition. I just got this Oxford World Classics edition. This is translated by James Falen. It came out maybe 10 years ago. And I also have uh, this really just a pretty version. Um, this is a Heritage Press edition of Eugene Onegin, and the translation is Babette Deutsch. And this came out in, I think, this particular hardcover is from like 1943 from Heritage Press. It has a bunch of illustration. It has an illustration at the beginning of each chapter, sort of like wood cutting, kind of like what Folio Society does for their books. And I found this for like $5 at a used bookstore. And so what I thought I would do, like I said, is to sort of read some read some verses from different parts of the novel and hopefully help you make a decision on it. I'm not the right person to be doing this, but I want to do it anyway. You would To get a full authoritative opinion on it, you would want someone in this cornered booktube, at least someone like Steve Donahue or Brock from The Active Mind. I think he can actually read the original Russian, and so that's sort of a disclaimer. But I thought I would, read a couple verses to you from each edition and sort of help you decide. You can make up your mind, decide on which one you prefer, because you're going to be living with this novel for I think it's about 240 pages, depending on the edition you get. So you need to find the one that agrees with you the best. And so I will read these. Some of these verses in the order of the years that they were translated. So I'll do the Babette Deutsch version first, then I'll do Charles Johnston, then I'll do James Phelan. Um, so, I'll first start out by reading the dedication, sort of a famous dedication at the very beginning of the novel from the Babette Deutsch edition. And, I mean, a book is good when it has its own house there. So, I will read. This is the Babette Deutsch version, assuming I'm saying that right. And this is the famous dedication before the novel starts that Pushkin wrote. So, not with a notion of delighting proud worldlings, but to pleasure you, for friendship's sake, what I were writing, a nobler page, more fine and true, worthy of him I am addressing, whose days are living poetry, affection's pledge, indeed expressing your dreams, your high simplicity. No matter, but look with favor upon the chapters in your hand, half grave, half gay, and with a flavor of what is common, what is grand. To this were fribbling hours devoted, late nights, yes, and a facile art, fruit of spoiled years, or green and tart, the mind's reflections coldly noted, the bitter insights of the heart. So that is Babette Deutsch's version. So take your notes, decide what you liked about that one. and then we will go to the Charles Johnston translation. This is the version that I read on Wednesday, and there really is not a whole lot of information as far as what Babette Deutsch was going for with her translation, but it's considered. I think it's sort of considered like Constance Garnett's translation of a lot of the famous Russian novels. It's one of the first ones, and it is, one of the first ones that brought this masterpiece to the English speaking world. So she already gets some credit for that. And then the Charles Johnston translation, he noted in his translator preface of this that his main goal was to one, preserve the what's considered the Pushkin stanza, the very sonnet-like rhythm and rhyme that Pushkin did for a lot of his stuff and throughout this novel. He wanted to preserve the Onegin stanza, or the Pushkin stanza, or it might be called the Onegin stanza, I don't know, as well as mainly keeping this a readable, a first readable edition of this novel. So the main thing was preserving that stanza and preserving its readability. So this is his version of that dedication. Heedless of the proud world's enjoyment, I prize the attention of my friends, and only wish that my employment could have been turned to worthier ends, worthier of you in the perfection your soul displays in holy dreams, in simple but sublime reflection, in limpid verse that lives and gleams. But as it is, this pied collection begs your indulgence. It's been spun from threads both sad and humoristic, themes popular or idealistic, products of carefree hours of fun, of sleeplessness, faint inspirations, of powers unripe or on the wane, of reason's icy intimations, and records of a heart in pain. So, take your notes. That is the Charles Johnston translation. What did you like? What did you not like about that particular dedication? And then we will go to the newest one, the James Falen translation. And this is how he does the dedication. Remember, this is the newest one. This is about 10 years ago. I think there have been translations since this one, but this is the newest one that I happen to have. So, not thinking of the proud world's pleasure, but cherishing your friendship's claim, I would have wished a finer treasure to pledge my token to your name, one worthy of your soul's perfection, the sacred dreams that fill your gaze, the verse's limpid, live complexion, your noble thoughts and simple ways. But let it be, take this collection of sundry chapters as my suit, half humorous, half pessimistic, blending the plain and idealistic. Amusements yield the careless fruit of sleepless nights, light inspirations, both of my green and withered years, the intellect's cold observations, the heart's reflections writ in tears. So, take your notes. What did you like about that particular one? And then I would go to another verse here, which is actually the very first verse of the very first chapter, and this sort of captures the humor and the sort of the wry wit of the story, and just to give you an idea of which one you would like best. So we're going back to the Deutsch translation, and something that's, I mainly have this edition just because it's illustrated. And who did the illustrations on this? Translated by Babette Deutsch, illustrated with lithographs by Fritz Eichenberg. And so at the beginning of each chapter you get these sort of cool illustrations. I don't know if they're called lithographs, or they look like sort of the wood carvings that are popular in Folio Society editions. But this is talking about Eugene Onegin's uncle, the very first one. So this is Babette Deutsch's version. My uncle always respected, but his grave illness, I confess, is more than could have been expected. a stroke of genius, nothing less. He offers all a grand example, but God such boredom who would sample, day long, night long, thus to be bid to sit beside an invalid. Low cunning must assist devotion to one who is but half alive. You smooth his pillow and contrive amusement while you mix his potion. You sigh and think with furrowed brow, why can't the devil take you now? So that verse is sort of supposed to capture the humor um, of Eugene Onegin that's sprinkled throughout this. So how was that for you? Did you like it? Did you not like it? This is again a very old translation, but it's one of the first ones. So that was this version, and then we will read that same verse from Charles Johnston and see how he does it. See how he tries to capture Pushkin's humor. So, my uncle, high ideals inspire him, but when past joking he fell sick, he really forced one to admire him, and never played a shrewder trick. Let others learn from his example, but God how deadly dull to sample sick-room attendants night and day, and never stir a foot away. And the sly baseness fit to throttle of entertaining the half-dead, one smooths the pillows down in bed, and glumly serves the medicine bottle, and sighs and asks oneself all through, when will the devil come for you? So, again, take your notes. Did you like that version? Did you not like it? So, that's Charles Johnston, and then we'll go to the new young punk kid James Phalen's translation. This is how he does it. My uncle, man of firm convictions, by falling gravely ill he's won a due respect for his afflictions, the only clever thing he's done. May his example profit others, but God what deadly boredom, brothers, to tend a sick man night and day, not daring once to steal away. And oh how base to pamper grossly and entertain the nearly dead, to fluff the pillows for his head and pass him medicines morosely, while thinking under every sigh, the devil take you, uncle, die. I like that sort of exclamation at the end, to die. So, yeah, that was this, and I think I'll read one more version, one more verse, and this is chapter 2, and this introduces one of the characters in the novel, which is Eugene Onegin's friend Lenski. They end up having a feud, and so this verse particularly talks about Lenski as he's sort of similar to Eugene Onegin. He is born an aristocrat. He is educated, travels all over the world, and he is a poet, and he sings or reads a lot of his poetry to people. And so this talks about what Lenski would do as he was singing, what his theme of singing was. So this is the Deutsch translation, see what you think of it. The theme from which he ne'er departed was love. He sang it late and soon, scenes serene as maidens simple-hearted, as infant slumbers, as the moon, in the unruffled heavens shining. He sang of parting and repining, the mystic, wistful hours of night, of distant, promising delight. He sang the rose, romantic flower, and lands remote, where on the breast of silence he had lain at rest, and let his tears unheeded shower. He sang life's bloom and early bright. His 19th year was scarce in sight. So, did you like the rhythm of that? Did you like did it move something in you? Did you like it? So, that is the Deutsch translation. And then go back to Charles Johnston, and this is how he translates that particular verse. He sang of love, to love subjected. His song was limpid in its tune, as infant sleep or the unaffected thoughts of a girl, or as the moon, through heaven's expanse serenely flying, that queen of secrets and of sighing. He sang of grief and parting time, of something vague, some misty clime, roses romantically blowing, of many distant lands he sang, where in the heart of silence rang his sobs, where his live tears were flowing. He sang of lifetime's yellowed page, when not quite 18 years of age. So especially right there at the end of that verse, completely different as far as just his age goes. I think Babette Deutsch said that his 19th year was scarce in sight. He was not yet 19, and this says that he was not yet 18. So uh, that was this translation, and then the tiebreaker to see how old he really was will be James Falen, and this is how he translates that particular version. Uh, he sang of love, by love commanded, a simple and affecting tune, as clear as maiden thoughts, as candid as infant slumber, as the moon in heaven's peaceful desert flying, that queen of secrets and of sighing. He sang of parting and of pain, of something vague, of mists and rain. He sang the rose romantic flower in distant lands where once he'd shed his living tears upon the bed of silence at a lonely hour. He sang life's bloom gone pale and sere, he'd almost reached his 18th year. So, Phelan says he's almost 18. So, yeah, I think that's all. That's long enough. I just wanted to read you each of those verses to where if you are planning on reading this and you happen to have any of these translations, comb around for the translation that works for you the best. Even then, Phelan, James Phelan mentions in the introduction to this, this is an Oxford World Classics edition, by the way, and he said that his main goal was to maintain the Onegin stanza and, of course, try to preserve the readability like what Charles Johnston did, but he also wanted to try to preserve the sparkle, the magic, and the spirit of Pushkin as he was writing this, trying to preserve the energy, that that the original Russian has, and so that was the goal of this translation. So see if I can do this. So that is these three translations. Decide which one you like the best. If you have not read this yet, or if you have, and you have not read these translations, which one did you like? I'm going to be doing a full video on Eugene Onegin, just as far as a discussion of the novel, and so yeah, if you want to watch that video and you have not read this yet and you're worried about spoilers or anything like that, then find the translation that works for you best, and then go watch that video that I make later on. And so hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you found something that you liked. And yeah, I will do this again, and I will see you in the next video.